On today's episode of Andy and Ari on 3, could Alabama be the team that reminds us of 2024 Ohio State once the playoffs start? Remember, the Buckeyes were getting killed by everybody going to the CFP last year. Same thing for the Crimson Tide this year. We will discuss. Also, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark goes after Notre Dame Athletic Director Pete Bevacqua. Maybe there's no deal that could happen between the Big 12 and Notre Dame because Brett Yormark went at Pete Bevacqua. Also, could Dante Moore be headed to the NFL after the college football playoff? We'll discuss that. It is a Megaboard Wednesday. We have some incredible message board threads to talk about. We got Bama Online. We got Blue and Gold. We got Scoop Duck. Let's go. Andy and Arnie on 3, presented by BetMGM. We are presented by BetMGM. We use BetMGM lines and totals. And you can join us by joining BetMGM. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB as in college football, CFB, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. Download the BetMGM app and sign on using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 to place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you're signing up. So download the app, deposit at least $10, place your first wager, up to $1,500 if your first bet loses. Use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. It is a Megaboard Wednesday, and the message boards are popping this week, Ari Wasserman, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it'll be good to talk about something else outside of Notre Dame. So I think
we're still going to talk about Notre Dame. Don't you worry about it.
But there's other topics. So
yes.
I know people are kind of excited to get into playoff mode. I don't know about you, Andy, but I always feel like a hangover this week. There's no football this weekend, and it's just kind of like the season just abruptly ends, and it always feels that way to me. So I'm excited to talk about the playoff. And
I watched a bunch of tape this morning, Ari. It got me going. It got the juices flowing again.
Yeah. But it's bizarre that there's no football on, college football on nights, and I got used to it. I was in the swing of it. But I'm excited to talk about the playoff and some of the bowl games coming up in the coming weeks, and fired up to be here as always.
So Megaboard Wednesday, we're going to start with Bama Online because it's a fascinating thing to watch the discussion of Alabama, and not just the discussion of Alabama by everybody else, because obviously Alabama getting in to the playoff, not moving after getting beat 28-7 by Georgia in the SEC championship game in the rankings. That's been a big debate point. But I want to talk about Alabama, the football team, because Alabama, and yes, I said football team, so you can drink. Grab a Modelo. Everybody grab Modelo. And help yourself. I did the football team thing that I get on Ari for. So crack a Modelo right now. Stay game day ready all season long. Stay ready for when Andy is redundant.
Redundancy is powerful. I don't know if you realize that.
I was watching a show where the host, every single time they were talking about anything, they said football game and everything and said football team. It was, and it sort of bled into me.
Redundancy is a really good tool to use when you're being condescending. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I'm never condescending, Ari. I would never. How would I possibly know that?
When I'm condescending, like they're like, why won't you pick up the phone?
Ari, I'm condescending all the time.
I'm on a commercial aircraft. Like if you like make it longer or repeat yourself, it like drives the point home a little bit more. But yeah, I'm not gonna give you shit for the thing that I do constantly. So do you want to have like a 25-minute discussion about whether Alabama should move down?
No, I don't. I want to talk about Alabama playing Oklahoma next week and what Alabama can do in the playoff. And I'm going to start with this message board thread authored by Evans F. at the Bama Online Roundtable. The headline, just about everything that I'm reading from fans is negative. And this person wrote, we've forgotten how to enjoy games and seasons. Many of you knew going to this season this was going to be tough. We are in the college football playoff, played in the SEC title game. What is the issue? And it's a great question. And Larson, in the first reply, says, being a Bama fan is torture for some folks. I'd find another hobby if it made me so angry / sad. But the truth of the matter is, I think it's just that Alabama fans were spoiled by one of the greatest runs in college football history, if not the greatest run in college football history. So
I've actually asked myself that question a lot because I covered a team that is in the same kind of general
very similar to Ohio State.
Yeah. It's like, what, unless you win the national title, do you even enjoy this? Like, and I think that there is something to be said about being able to take a step back and enjoying some of the smaller things. I think Alabama probably has a way worse case of it than Ohio State and Georgia, because Alabama won so many times that like that becoming the expectation was actually like rational, like they won it. How many is it? I always get confused. How many did Saban win?
How many did Saban win at Alabama? 6
there, right? Yeah. So like, I don't think people like realize how hard it is to win one national title. Like Alabama got 6 in a relatively short historical period. And like, it's insane. Like Notre Dame is a team that hasn't won a national title since 1988. And you won 6 during the Saban era. Like it is like in Notre Dame, I'm not just singling out. Like there are a lot of teams that have historic placements in the sport that have gone long periods of time without winning one. And like, I think I was on the Sooner Scoop podcast yesterday with our guys down at, up in Norman. And like, I talked about this a little bit of like, I think that there has to be a reprogramming from every fan base, the elite ones to the middle tier ones. Everybody has to realize, and I'm even talking to myself when I say this, that going undefeated and being excellent, which felt like the standard or was the standard of the 4-team era, is no longer a rational expectation. It's like Ohio State looked unbeatable this year and they lost in the Big Ten championship game. I just think teams are going to lose, and they're going to lose more frequently than they're accustomed to. So like the way that Alabama feels right now is probably down in the dumps because you want your team to be a little bit more competitive than they were in the SEC title game. But we're 2 games away from them being right back on top of the world again. If they go up to Norman and win and go on, like everything that happened in the season, like we should be celebrating that.
And the winner of the Alabama-Oklahoma game plays Indiana. So plays the number 1 seed in the Rose Bowl. And from a talent standpoint, if it's Alabama, that's going to be a very evenly matched game, I think. So, and the thing about Alabama is the question I want to ask you, and it's the question that's the title of the show, could this year's Alabama resemble last year's Ohio State? We're talking about a talented team that played a horrendous last game. Remember what we were talking about this time last year relative to Ohio State. Are they going to fire their coach? Like that's what we were talking about. We weren't talking about this team's going to go and run and win the national title. We were talking about what do they do about their Michigan problem? Well, this year's Alabama team played a horrific game in the SEC championship game. They looked terrible, couldn't run the ball, -3 rushing yards. Their longest run was 5 yards. It doesn't get much worse than that. Ari, I went back and watched every offensive snap of that game. I went back and watched every offensive snap of Alabama-Oklahoma, the first meeting that Alabama lost. There's definitely a window for Alabama to be a better team, because I also went back and watched some of Alabama-Georgia, the first meeting. A healthier Alabama, which it should definitely be a healthier Alabama, is dangerous in this playoff. It is dangerous because the team you saw, the offense, the defense is fine. The offense you saw against Georgia will look completely different if a few players are healthy. Completely different.
Yeah. So I think I understand the premise of the question. The premise of the question is, could you be down on your team and then that team go on a run? I think that comparing them to last year's Ohio State team is a little bit hyperbolic because Ohio State had 14 players drafted after last year's team, and like the Michigan game was like a complete aberration to like what their season looked like.
Ari, Alabama's going to have a lot of players drafted off this team.
I know. Is it 14?
It's probably not, but it's probably close to 10.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Alabama's not talented, but Alabama, what we saw in the Georgia game, there have been symptoms of that being part of who they were like all year. Like it started it started that way. They went on a great run. You know, you got that Oklahoma game the first time and then the Georgia game, and then they didn't look that great against Auburn either. Where like Ohio State, I think, was an isolated incident because of a mental ailment with their rival. But I guess the specific situations don't have to match. The question is, are they talented and good enough to go on a run when people are down?
Can they come out better? And so here's the thing. This is because really what's happened is Ty Simpson has looked horrible the last two games. And now it looked like he got dinged up in the Georgia game. It looked like, I think an ankle or something, and it kind of slowed him down because he's a much better runner than what we saw in that. But they weren't running the ball at all,
too, right? Like it happened relatively early in the game, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but I don't think that would have mattered. I don't think it would have changed anything. Going back and watching before that happened, like they couldn't run the ball at all. There's one player they've been missing that I think changes a lot, and it's not Jam Miller, who also is going to be back. Jam Miller's their best running back. He's going to be back. But he's not the one that I'm as concerned about. I think it'll be very helpful to have him back. But the guy they haven't had since the Oklahoma game is Josh Cuevas. That's their starting tight end. This guy must be so important to what they do in the run game. And I say that because watching them play with him and then watching the Georgia game and the Auburn game without him, it is a night and day difference. Also, if you watch that first Oklahoma game, this guy was Ty Simpson's safety blanket in that game. He had 6 catches for, I want to say 90 yards or 80 yards and a touchdown. It was probably his best game as a receiver. But I want to point out what he does in the run game because the players, they had a freshman and redshirt freshman trying to replace him against Georgia, and they got eaten alive by Georgia. And if they block a little bit better on some of these early run plays, you're converting third downs. You're moving the ball a little bit. The game might go differently. Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, this guy, they think he's going to be healthy. Kalen DeBoer said on Sunday, he's pretty sure he's going to be healthy enough to play against Oklahoma. That's going to change a lot because I'll be honest with you, the offense we saw against Georgia, if they trot that out there against Oklahoma, Ty Simpson is going to be batting practice for Oklahoma defenders. Because Oklahoma, like if you watch that first game, Oklahoma's got a free runner on half the dropbacks. They scheme a free runner, which a free runner is a pass rusher who is not blocked by anybody. And you either do that because you send more than the other team has in protection, or you make it confusing enough that one of the offensive linemen or one of the backs or whoever's in protection does not know to pick you up, and they just run at the quarterback. The only way to solve the free runner problem is you need to know who you can throw to immediately. And when Josh Cuevas is on the field, Ty Simpson seems to know who to throw to. And when he's not on the field, it does seem like it's a little bit harder to figure out who to throw to.
I feel like this is like such a just key example as to why this era of college football is so much different than it used to be. Because back in the day, what'd you say?
I said, thank you.
Like losing one player for Bama, no matter who it was, it could be their best player, they would overcome it. And like now, that's just not the way it is. So like I actually think that this is kind of a tough situation for Oklahoma because it was a hard fought win the first time. You've beat them 2 times in a row. To have to play them for a third time in 2 years in the opening round of the playoff with them healthy and motivated, I think is a difficult spot for them. My question to you is twofold. One, Alabama did go on this great run, but at their best, do you truly believe they could make a run to the national title, like at their best? And then 2, how much do you think of Alabama's most recent performance could also be explained by Georgia just coming on at the right time?
That's the question. And I'm glad you asked it that way, because the fact that they beat Georgia in Athens suggests that they can beat anybody. But the team they beat in Athens was probably different than the team they played in Atlanta. I would say that Georgia, in terms of improvement over the season, has probably improved the most of anybody.
Yeah, if you look back at Georgia's first half of the year and you look at their second half of the year, and maybe I don't know what the actual math breakdown is, but there was a 4 or 5 game stretch there where it was like, this is rough to watch. And then like in November, they started playing.
Starting with the Ole Miss game. I think it started with the Ole Miss game for them.
Yeah, the Ole Miss game. Did they struggle with Mississippi State? I can't remember.
No, they crushed Mississippi State.
And then we went to Texas. So, the back half of their year was dominant.
Yeah, the only game that they had trouble in, well, Florida gave them trouble, which that was a weird game. The Georgia Tech game, they lost their center, Drew Bobo, in the middle of the game, and the offense was not what it should have been. But when their younger Malachi, I'm blanking on Malachi's last name, but when he took over and had a full week of snaps, he looked fine against Alabama. So
here's the stretch I'm looking at. It was the Alabama stretch.
Tolliver.
Alabama 24-21 loss. Then they beat Kentucky 35-14. They were never going to lose that game, but I don't know that it was as wide.
The Auburn game was dicey.
Auburn, Ole Miss were both dicey. Florida was dicey. And then once they played Mississippi State, they ran through the rest of their schedule.
But Ole Miss being dicey is not Ole Miss is a playoff team. The Ole Miss game was where Georgia's offense really hit its stride. And we started to be like, oh, wait, Gunnar Stockton's a good quarterback.
But we also have to acknowledge, too, that they didn't play well against Georgia Tech either. And that was the second to last game.
They didn't. But so Alabama, now the question with Alabama is this just them now? Or when they get some of these guys back, because Jam Miller's been hurt a lot of the season. He's sort of in and out of the lineup. Cuevas has been out since the Oklahoma game. And I want to point out, like, just him being in there for the Oklahoma game doesn't mean they're going to win. He played probably his best game as a receiver in that game, and they still lost to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So they've got to do better. They've got to protect the ball. I think Oklahoma is going to be very vanilla on offense unless Alabama can prove it can score. Because if I'm Oklahoma, I'm just taking care of the ball, and I'm going to let my defense go attack and try to get me good field position. I'm not going to do anything to hand Alabama the game.
But I also think the Oklahoma side of things is interesting because on one hand, everybody's kind of been beating up Oklahoma's offense. And maybe that's fair because, things haven't been going that well recently. But like I went back and I looked at the LSU game because I remember watching it. They weren't scoring a lot of points. But John Mateer threw for like 325 yards in that game. It's not like they're and I know that like a few of them, some of his yardage have been big chunk plays to Satania on broken coverages. So maybe the numbers are kind of deceiving, but don't you kind of feel like it's been crazy to see how much we've switched up on like what we expect from Oklahoma's quarterback? And I think that the number one thing for them is if they can cut off his turnovers, because like John Mateer started turning the ball over a lot in the second half. But I don't know if Oklahoma's offense is completely inept. Like they have enough players on their team. Their running game, I think, has been interesting. And I'm still kind of confused about what happened with Jaden Odd.
Both of these teams struggle to run the ball.
Yeah, but I don't know that
no secret.
It should be an unreasonable ask for Oklahoma to figure out a way to score 28 points in this game at home, right? Like that's not an unfair thing.
I think it's pretty unreasonable.
Now the question, though, that is kind of the premise of the question you're asking here is if Oklahoma goes to Norman and wins, do you think that Alabama goes to Norman and beats Oklahoma? Sorry. That Alabama is going to go beat Indiana like that. Like that's the thing.
They're talented enough to beat Indiana. They're talented enough to beat anybody on their side of the bracket. Like the two teams that I would worry about just completely out talenting them are Ohio State and Georgia, and they're on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
So Oregon, I do worry about some. Oregon, because you talk about what they may have back by the time they get to the quarterfinals. Because, I mean, maybe Evan Stewart comes back too. Like they could be completely loaded, locked and loaded in terms of pass catching targets between their receivers and Kenyon Sadiq, like healthy and loaded. And that offense could look very different.
Yeah. Texas. I saw somebody else on Twitter yesterday. I don't know who it was, but they're like, whoever wins the Oklahoma OU game is going, or the Oklahoma Alabama game is going to the Natty. And I was like, I think that this is
I think those people are assuming Indiana is going to be a pushover. Indiana's the best team in the country this year.
How many games does Indiana have to play against elite level opponents before people start believing they're good?
If they shred whichever of Alabama or Oklahoma shows up to Pasadena, I think maybe people will start to get it.
It's like beating Ohio State not good enough. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, beating this Ohio State is pretty telling to me.
In a dome. Usually when Ohio State loses these Big Ten games, it's in the cold and they were in a dome, dude.
No, their athletes were in the pristine place to be the best athletes, and Indiana still shut them down. So yeah, I think assuming anything is silly. But I also think you shouldn't assume that if Alabama were to beat Oklahoma, that Indiana would just roll over them. I don't think that's the case. No. I think Alabama's good enough to beat anybody on that side of the bracket.
The hope is that nobody's going to roll over.
If they get to the title game, then they're probably looking at Georgia or Ohio State.
Yeah, nobody wants to roll over anybody in the second round. There's going to be some blowouts in the first round. That's part of the game. But once we get to the quarterfinals and the semifinals, let's hope to really, get some
quarterfinal matchups look like bangers. Pretty much all of them.
I just feel like we can pencil IU versus OU or Alabama is a banger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that Oregon's
Ohio State versus A&M or Miami is great.
Georgia, Ole Miss, again, banger. Texas Tech, Oregon, banger. Those are good games. So,
and if you don't get either of those last two you mentioned, then we've seen the greatest upset in college football history. In the first round,
also be a banger.
Exactly. I'm so excited, Ari. I am. I can't wait. Let's get to next Friday night. I know we're gonna have to talk a lot about these games.
We are going to the two best games of the first round in back-to-back days, and I think that the Miami Texas A&M game is very compelling. And I don't know if part of that is because we haven't seen them play. We've already seen. I know exactly what that Alabama Oklahoma game is going to look like, and it's probably just going to be 23-21 again, one way or the other, and that reflects in the spread. But really finding out who Miami and Texas A&M are is going to be fun. So, looking forward to that.
Ari, you know what else I'm looking forward to? That next time I open my door and there's a lovely, lovely box from Omaha Steaks. If you go to omahasteaks.com right now, they are having the Sizzle All the Way sale, 50% off site-wide. The ground tenderloin burgers, oh, good Lord, so good. But you can get the bacon wrapped tenderloins. You can get the potatoes. You can get your side dishes. You can get your apple tarts, your desserts, you name it. 50% off site-wide. Use the promo code Andy and Ari for an extra $35 off your order. That's Andy and Ari, ANDYANDARI at omahasteaks.com. Remember, 50% off with the Sizzle All the Way sale. Extra $35 off with that code Andy and Ari. Get yourself some of that seasoning too. The burger you're about to see in the video here is one I made with the ground tenderloin, and then I use the seasoning, and it is absolutely spectacular. So go to omahasteaks.com, Sizzle All the Way sale, 50% off site wide. Code Andy and Ari for extra $35 off. Ari, let us move to non-playoff discussion that never is going to die until it probably dies next week when they start playing games. There's more Notre Dame. We'll go to the blue and gold message board. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark chimes in. Kyle Kelly posts that one. And it is Brett Yormark talking at the Sports Business Journal Intercollegiate Athletics Forum out in Las Vegas. And I've been to this event before. I've moderated panels at this event. It's great because they get everybody together. And people will say, commissioners and athletic directors will say some things on that stage there that they won't say in most interviews. Here's what Brett Yormark had to say about Pete Bevacqua, the Notre Dame athletic director.
I will say this, and I'm a little outspoken about it. I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it.
So
okay,
Pete Bevacqua
I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. We all knew, and it was very transparent. Hunter was very transparent about it, the chair, that as Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay? BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
Well, good news. You're going to be in the same room together when you're negotiating the next format for the college football playoff. So I can't wait for the sparks to fly. Now, Brett Yormark, his message to Pete Bevacqua, and I get it, is you bought the ticket, you take the ride.
Well, it was funny because we were having a conversation yesterday about the Big 12's, could be a safety net for Notre Dame.
I listen, if Pete Bevacqua called Brett Yormark today and said, hey, the ACC let us out of our deal, can we do the same thing with you? Brett Yormark would be on the first thing smoking to South Bend.
I don't doubt that. What I'm doubting now is whether Pete Bevacqua and Notre Dame are going to be in line for that. Like they we just got a text right now. Did you see it?
I did. So
okay.
This is how petty it's getting with the Notre Dame thing. So Ivan Maisel, great sports writer, actually one of the original On3 folks, but worked at Sports Illustrated even before I did. He had a really cool book that came out earlier this year about Frank Leahy, the former Notre Dame coach. He was going to have a signing at Notre Dame's bookstore on Friday. They've canceled it. Ivan was a member of the committee. They always have one retired sports writer on the committee. Ivan was that one. And because he's on the committee, they canceled his book signing.
It's wild. Yeah. I really feel like we've talked about this so much. You know how I stand. But Notre Dame got the rug pulled out from underneath it. True. Notre Dame also should have been able to see the potential of this coming.
Well, Pete Bevacqua should have. I don't blame the Notre Dame players for feeling like they had the rug pulled out. But the coaches and the athletic director should have understood and probably should have said, hey, they should have said the same thing that we said on this show, that everybody else said when the first rankings came out. Something smells here because they have the same resume and the same record. Why are they 8 spots apart? Something's off.
Well, just let me ask you, because I haven't asked you this. What is your general opinion of Bevacqua's behavior since Sunday?
I think he's doing what he's supposed to do to protect Notre Dame, but I also there is an element of he needs to focus on the ACC targeting them in a social media campaign like that. That would be, I would consider that out of bounds as a business partner of the ACC. But the Notre Dame got screwed. Notre Dame did not get screwed. Notre Dame played Miami and lost, had the same record and the same resume as Miami. Of course, Miami should have been ahead of them. Of course they should have.
I'm going to rephrase the question. Do you think that his behavior is protecting Notre Dame?
Well, here's the thing. Notre Dame's an interesting one because the average fan hates Notre Dame so much. The people who love Notre Dame, and everybody else hates Notre Dame. So everybody who doesn't like Notre Dame is making fun of them. They're saying they're a bunch of whiners. They're saying they're soft for skipping a bowl game. I don't think he needs to worry about their opinions. I only think he needs to worry about the opinions of people who love Notre Dame because that's who pays his salary. And it's interesting because one thing about Notre Dame being an independent in football is they don't have to worry about anybody else's feelings other than people who love Notre Dame.
And
so
their
I think
value, their inherent value as a program and a television commodity is like an unbreakable thing.
they got a lot of juice. Yes, and a different program with less juice could not do this.
And let's also be honest. Part of the reason why Notre Dame has such high viewership, high ratings, is because I feel like people hate watch them more than other teams.
They do. You either love Notre Dame or you hate Notre Dame. And that's a good thing to be in as a commodity, as an entertainment product. It's sort of like the scene in Private Parts where they're going through the listener survey about Howard Stern. And it's like, yeah, the people who love Howard Stern tend to listen for 30 minutes. Chief reason, I want to hear what he'll say next. The people who hate Howard Stern tend to listen for 3 hours. Chief reason, I want to hear what he'll say next. Like, that's Notre Dame. And
when you're looking at the ratings don't come with love or hate. All they care is the television's on.
Now, it's interesting because if you look at the ratings and the most watched teams this year, they're actually mostly in the SEC. And obviously there's Ohio State and Michigan, but
yeah. And like, I think that like when you're a big brand, I'm not going to pretend like people don't hate watch Ohio State and hate watch Alabama.
They 100% do.
A lot of people watch, but they're inherently into it because of the potential of an upset. Every time Ohio State's on TV, if they're playing somebody and they lose, it's interesting. So like that's also part of it. But like Notre Dame is a great commodity. I don't know from a public perception standpoint, the people who hate them, like you said, aren't going to change their mind. I don't know if they've strengthened the brand internally based on this. Like, I don't know that I would have approached it this way.
It doesn't. The skipping the bowl part looks bad. And again, I do think if they'd had 24 hours to decide, they wouldn't be skipping the bowl. The other part of this, and this is the part Brett Yormark was pointing out, is you helped create this system. Not Pete Bevacqua specifically, but Jack Swarbrick, who held the job before Pete Bevacqua did, literally was one of the 4 people who wrote this up.
Do you know what this feels like to me, this whole thing? It feels like a sporting event that was super close, but a team made a few catastrophic mistakes and lost, and then their star player complaining about the refs for 20 minutes after the game's over. That's kind of what this feels like.
Except it's now we're into 3 days of complaining.
Right. And public news conferences and things like that. And it's like, and I get it. Like Notre Dame fans actually believe, and I think that there might be something to it, that this is one of the most talented and explosive teams that they've ever had. And the pain of losing the ability to, see that through is real. Like, I get that. But like, I don't know, like yesterday when they called the news conference, wasn't there like a thought process that there would be some sort of announcement built into it? Something to do with like Marcus Freeman or an extension or some piece of news that we were supposed to get.
Instead of just everybody wants to talk. But I will say this about Notre Dame and their public relations. They're really nice about it. And they are pretty accommodating, with various, they're obviously covered nationally, but they have a pretty dedicated local beat crew. And they wanted to give those people a chance to ask Pete Bevacqua questions with something going on. So that's all that was.
Yeah. But I was watching it and I was like, if you're a non-Notre Dame fan, like you're watching this going like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And it's catnip for the people who hate Notre Dame. The schadenfreude is off the charts because the people who hate Notre Dame thinks Notre Dame they think Notre Dame gets special treatment. They think Notre Dame thinks its poop doesn't stink. Like they think all that stuff.
I also know that nothing that ever happens in a given season will ever change people from saying this shit. But like, can we just stop next year, like around this time, of saying, well, they're just going to put Alabama in, or they're just going to put Notre Dame in because they get more TV viewership. Like time and time again, that's completely, shown to be untrue. Like it's not true. Like if they wanted Notre Dame in, or if they wanted viewership, Notre Dame would be in right now.
Correct. Well, and not over Alabama. They would have been in over Miami if it was strictly about viewership. Yes.
If you're like one of these conspiracy theory people who thinks that the committee makes their rankings and their proceedings are done based solely on how many people will watch games to get the most money, time and time again, it's proven wrong.
Yeah.
So just stop saying it. It's annoying.
Well, and the thing is, like, this is a weird role reversal for Alabama. Alabama's always been team eye test. Notre Dame was team eye test this year. And Miami was too. Alabama was team resume.
Nicole Auerbach tweeted something today that I thought was really interesting. and I want to give her credit. We were texting about it earlier today. But she said that the College Football Playoff Committee, part of their explanation, and she's right, I listened to it, was for not dropping Alabama down a spot after they lost to Georgia was because they had already beaten them earlier in the year. But if you look at it from an investing standpoint, like that was already priced into their ranking, the win.
Right.
Like there was negative news. You don't like. I think that
was priced into their number 9 ranking in the penultimate ranking.
It's like when you're investing in a stock, if you go through the stock price, the revenue from the previous quarter is already priced in. So if you have a bad quarter, you can't say, well, their awesome quarter, the quarter before is the reason why the price doesn't fluctuate. No, the price fluctuates based on the most recent activity. I
think they just said we're going to leave Alabama in the field, but we don't want to move Miami up another spot without them playing. Because remember when you and I did it on Saturday night, now we left Alabama out. So we had Alabama ranked number 11. But I had Notre Dame, or I said I had Miami ranked number 9 because I said the committee's going to flip this and put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. But I think the committee might have looked at it and said, we can't move Miami to number 9 when they didn't play.
Yeah. And I also understand why Alabama's in too, Andy. Like they have quality wins.
Right.
And, they shouldn't have said we didn't move them down because they already beat Georgia before. It's the problems in the explanation. They should just say, well, their resume outweighed Notre Dame, so we kept them in the field. Like that's the explanation, not
Alabama they had a harder schedule and better wins. Like it's funny because when I was tweeting about the Notre Dame stuff and the Notre Dame complaints, people kept saying, well, okay, now explain Alabama. Like, easy, harder schedule, better wins. Like that's not complicated at all. Like that's why they did it. Like, and I would have been fine if they'd left Alabama out, if they put them at 11 and put Notre Dame in, I'd have been fine. If you just come out and say, we think Notre Dame's a really good team and we think they're going to beat a lot of the teams in this field and that they could go deep in this playoff, I would have been fine with that answer. Because I know Notre Dame would be favored over half the teams in the field. Like I'd be okay with that answer. But I'm also okay with the Alabama answer that they played a harder schedule and had better wins.
The explanation you just said you'd be fine with would have driven me crazy.
I know. I'm okay with the eye test and you're not.
That's the same explanation that you would have given it by putting them in over Miami. We think they're better and they'd be favored. Like that's what I was railing against. And
they played. There's no hypothetical there. They played.
I made a mistake because on Saturday night, when we were projecting the committee, I had Notre Dame and Miami in and Bama out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to bed that night, I realized that was a mistake because Alabama just had too many wins, dude. Like
you said it on the live show that we did before they started revealing the rankings. You said the one nobody's talking about that I can't stop thinking about is what if Miami and Alabama both get in? And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And that was because the night before I put my top 12 out on Twitter as you were doing yours. And I'm like, well, when I woke up the following morning, I was like, there's something off about that. And I'm happy that the resume is the guide. I don't ever want the guide to be what do we think is going to happen. That's my number one enemy. So, anyway, but I'm very interested to see how long this Notre Dame saga is going to continue. Like,
I think if I'm Notre Dame, I probably cut it off
now
at this point.
Yeah, like I've had enough of it. Yeah.
And I think they have too. Like I put in a request for Pete Bevacqua, and they're like, respectfully, press conference yesterday was kind of it. And I get it. I understand that.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the smart thing. I think it went 2 days longer than it should have. I think that, because even last year, like when Bama got left out, the SEC popped off a few things like the night of or the day of, and then it kind of dissipated. Like the fact that we were into Tuesday and it was still going on was kind of wearing on.
Let's be real. They were still popping off in May and Destin at their spring meeting. So like
that's true.
It popped back up.
Yeah, no, I know. But it wasn't like a 3-day long tirade.
This will pop back up too. Probably, I would say in late January, when around the national title game, when the commissioners and Pete Bevacqua are together trying to hammer out the 2026 playoff format. I think that is when this will pop up again.
Yeah, but
And
Notre Dame
and
already
then-
won in the current format because now they have the top 12 assurance, which is a complete
right.
fix.
But if they go to
Problem was.
16, they don't have that assurance anymore.
No,
but
I know, but even if they already
don't
got
need it.
like again next year if the system stays the same, which I kind of hope it does.
Mhm.
Because Andy, like I don't think we've even acknowledged this, but when you put up the bracket, River, put up the bracket. Like I was like, oh well, who lost in their conference championship game this year that benefited from losing? It's like
Right.
nobody has a
and
clear
if
path.
the ACC has a decent champion this year, it doesn't look like this. Like Tulane's at 12, the team at 11 would be a team that probably can be very competitive against Ole Miss.
But I don't think that you could sit back and say that any of the teams with a bye have unequivocally easier path to the semis.
No, I would not
Last
say that.
year,
I'd say
Penn State's route, and it was like, oh my god, like that doesn't exist this year. I think this works. This is functional.
it's functional, and I think it adds drama if somebody that you think is good and somebody that you think could win games in the tournament is left out. I think that's fine. Like if they had an imperfect, flawed season and they're left out, it's okay. You should have won more games. I still think they're going to go to 16 because I think all of those people, all those stakeholders want it to go to 16. I wish they wouldn't, but I think they're going to.
Yeah, and then how many years of 16 do you think we'll get before they expand it again?
Got one.
You think they'll like? What do you think?
Big Ten's been pushing for 24 already.
If I had to put you on the spot though, and just say in 2035, so 10 years from now, what will the playoff field size be? What would you guess?
Oh, I don't know because I think the league's going to be different. I don't think it's going to be 136 FBS teams at that point.
Yeah, in 2035, the entire sport is probably going to be different.
Yeah, that's the issue with everything. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Ari, let's rip a pack. Panini. Go to Panini America to start collecting your favorite college and NFL stars. I got a pack of Donruss right here. This is 2025 Donruss. And Ari, you let me know what you got down there on your desk. I'm gonna take a look at some of these.
I've got a bunch of cards that I pulled. Look at this, Andy. They call me Stack. Look at all these. I ripped the 2025 Prism Collegiate myself. I went and bought a bunch of boxes because I love it. Here's some of the hits that I got while you're looking through yours. Here's a 2025 rookie Tet McMillan signing day, blue ice, and that's numbered to 75 auto. And he's a dog. And I might keep that one. Because, not very often you get Arizona player that's as good as he was. Here's a purple Julian Sayin NIL card. We love the NIL cards on the show.
I do.
This one's numbered to 99. Here's a Travis Hunter trophy hunting. Blue ice to 149. I've got Marcel Reed, another NIL card. Got a few Jackson darts. We got Shedeur Sanders in his Colorado.
Had a big game the other day. The Browns, unfortunately. But yes, Shedeur's getting better by the week.
And then last one I'll show, and then I'll let you get to it, is Ashton Genty. Blue to 249 auto. And then there's that. I don't know how well you can see it, but in the shadow box of where he is on the art is like a Boise Bronco.
Oh, nice.
Bronco.
This is cool.
A nice card.
So I have I pulled a Tua Tagovailoa press proof that is numbered to 199 out of this pack just now.
There you go.
I got a Derek Harmon rated rookie. We're going to talk about Oregon in a second. Derek Harmon played for Oregon last year. And also numbered to 99, Tony Pollard autograph. So
he had a pretty good game, and he played against Cleveland. I don't know if it counts.
Yeah, not a bad rip there.
If your NFL player that you just pulled goes off against Cleveland, or do they have to go off against somebody else?
I think you got to go off against somebody. Well, Cleveland's defense is really good. That's
you make
fine.
a good point. Yeah, Tony Pollard had a huge game on Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm fine with if you go off against Cleveland, you've done something.
Hey,
so,
Andy, I want to show three more cards because we're talking about Notre Dame, and I hit a bunch of Notre Dame cards, and they're beautiful. This is a Benjamin Morrison snake skin. It's a very short printed case hit, and you see the snake skin on the card.
Yeah,
and Notre Dame uniforms are beautiful. They look great on cards. And then this one is just a card that maybe I should just give away to somebody who listens to the show. Is a sign of good faith. This is a real olive branch. But here's Riley Leonard gold shimmer auto. And the coolest thing about this card is it's only numbered to 15. The gold shimmer is one of the most exclusive ones to get. And Riley Leonard led them to the national title game last year. That'd probably be a nice keepsake for some of the players.
Also, Riley Leonard pressed into action with the Colts, although Phillip Rivers is now signed. So we'll see if he comes off.
I thought that was a joke. I cannot
home.
believe that's real.
44 years old.
Retired for like 4 years though. Like when's the last time he played in an NFL game?
2020.
I guess when your wife stops having children, like it opens.
What else are you gonna do?
With that many children, have this much free time.
That's why he's leaving, to get some free time.
It's true.
PaniniAmerica.net to start collecting your favorite college and NFL stars. Let us head one north place on the mega board. We'll go to Scoop Duck. That's our Oregon site. Justin Hopkins, J-Hop, the publisher, posted a thread around a story that he wrote called Oregon Players Facing Tough Decisions on the NFL. And of course, the one everybody's talking about is Dante Moore. Because Kenyon Sadiq does not have a tough decision. Kenyon Sadiq is going to the NFL. He's going to be great there. He needs to go to the NFL. He's going to be a very high draft pick. Dante Moore is a more interesting situation because I don't know that he's quite ready yet. But I think if I look around at the draft class for quarterbacks, Ari, he's still maybe more ready than the other guys, most of the other guys.
I've seen his name popping up on mock drafts. And my thought process was that he was coming back for another year. But if you're going to be a top 10 pick, man, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know that you can wait. Though I will say Oregon's an interesting place to think about that, because I do think that probably as everybody watches Bo Nix, Bo Nix starting so many games in college, but whether that's at Auburn or at Oregon, I think is what made him attractive to Sean Payton and has allowed him to be as successful as he's been so far in the NFL. Now, I realize that their defense is really good. They have other parts of their team that have made the Broncos really good. But I think if Bo Nix had been kind of like a one-year starter in college and had a similar last year in college, he probably doesn't come in and do what he's done in the NFL.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the direction that you were trying to take this mega board topic, but Andy, when you look at this article, doesn't it mean just God damn, they're good.
Oregon's awesome. Oregon's unbelievable. Dante Moore questions.
Oregon floats in and out of wow, they're really loaded too. We're not talking about them that much. And then you look at the roster and it's holy crap, they're really loaded. And it's I just want people to realize that last year could be the inverse of last year for them.
Yes. And I think they're probably happy they're getting to play, knock any rust off, and then they'll go play the quarterfinal game against a really good team, probably Texas Tech. Definitely Texas Tech. Oregon's the one that has to earn the spot, but it would be Texas Tech against Oregon in the Orange Bowl. Okay, so our friend Dane Brugler from The Athletic, is one of my favorite draft analysts.
He's the guy.
I know his process. I know how connected he is. I know how much work he does.
You watch his film year-round, which most mock draft people don't do, I think.
Yeah, so in his mid-season 2026 big board, he had Dante Moore as the number 12 pick and his QB3. Now, he had Ty Simpson as QB1 and Fernando Mendoza as QB2. I think the Ty Simpson shine is off. Though, I will say, one of the other potential mega board topics I had was Alabama fans debating whether Ty Simpson is going to be back. And that's more of a timing thing with Keelan Russell than anything else. Dante Moore is welcome back at Oregon. That's not the issue. The issue is Dante Moore going to be, because I'm looking at this list. Lenora Sellers he's got his QB4. That's probably not happening now. Dante Moore may be QB2 behind Fernando Mendoza if he were in the draft.
When was the list that you're reading from Brugler published? Was it before the year?
About a month ago.
Or a month ago? Because the thing that I think is so interesting too about these sorts of things is that is such a moving target too.
Yes.
There's still games to be played, and a lot of these guys are playing in these games. So it's if Dante Moore, leads Oregon to the national title game, that might change the math on that too,
Yeah, and Dane put out his first mock, I believe, last week. So I'm going to take a look at that and see where he's got Dante.
I don't want to pile on Drew Aller, but did he make a mistake coming back?
I might have. Okay, so here's where Dane has Dante Moore in his mock draft that he put out last week. Any guesses as to what spot?
I'm going to guess a range. I don't know where the teams are picking. So I'm not an NFL expert to that level yet. I would say number 8 or 9-ish.
Number 2.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case.
Yeah. Now we don't know what's going to happen because right now the Titans won on Sunday, so that helps them a little bit. But the Titans were in the position for the number 1 pick. They're not picking quarterback, so they'll either trade that or pick a position player. But if it's a quarterback needy team, he has Cleveland trading up to Tennessee to the number 1 spot to get Fernando Mendoza.
Okay.
He then has the Raiders trading up to number 2 to get Dante Moore. But
that'd be a pretty good spot.
The moral of the story is not that that's going to happen. It's that probably these are the 2 biggest quarterback prospects in the draft. And so Dante Moore has to decide what he wants to do, because what makes this interesting to me, Ari, is we've already seen Dante Moore do the unconventional thing. When he left UCLA, he could have very easily gone somewhere that would have guaranteed him the starting job. He could have been a starting quarterback in 2024 and at the power conference level. And he's obviously very good. So he thought it would be better for him to go to Oregon, to sit and learn behind Dylan Gabriel, and then become the starting quarterback. And I would not argue with that logic, because he's been awesome in his first year as the starter. So the question is, will he do the unconventional thing again and say, you know what, historically, quarterbacks with more starts in college tend to be more successful in the NFL. I'm going to play another year in college. Because remember, it's not like 10 years ago. He's going to make good money in college, but not as good of money as he'd make as the number 2, 3, 4, 5 pick in the draft.
I mean, I think the philosophical discussion is if you're going to be a top 5 pick, is the choice made for you? Like
it feels like it is to me.
So, but yeah, I Oregon plays at bad times and on Peacock a lot. I don't know if a lot of people have gotten the full Dante Moore experience. I think that watching him play is going to be really fun for a lot of people that probably haven't watched him play all that much. I can't imagine that Oregon's television ratings have been off the charts this year. They haven't played in a lot of interesting games, and they've been playing in weird time slots and on weird networks.
Yeah. Yeah. So he is very good. In case you're wondering what the total value of the number 2 picks contract is, there's a 5th-year option, but the 4 years are set up already. It's a 4-year, $46.5 million contract. So, and then if you're, let's say you're down at number 10, it's a 4-year, $26.6 million contract.
It's a huge difference if you're a top 5 pick.
It is. Number 5 overall gets $40.8 million over 4 years. So you're going to get paid, in the low, like in the single digit millions if you're Dante Moore playing at Oregon next year. You just have to decide, would you rather make more and get closer to contract number 2 in the NFL?
The low single digits, by the way. There's a huge, $2 million and $9 million are very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like if you're the number 2 pick, your year 1 contract is $8.4 million. Or actually that's your year 1 cap hit. I think there's a bonus that you get a big bonus at first. So
yeah, I mean, when you get that opportunity, I mean, if Drew Aller would have been a first-round pick last year and he came back to develop and then he got injured.
Oh, he probably should have gone.
Was he a 5th-round pick now?
Is he
a 3rd-round pick? I don't know how far he fell. I mean, I'm sure people will still fall in love with his traits, so maybe it'll be higher than that. I don't know, but it's certainly not as high as it would have been had he just left.
Well, he's also coming off an injury, won't really be able to work out for anybody. Like it's a bad situation, and I think there's been enough stories about that where if you are reasonably assured. Now, here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders thought he was going to be a 1st-round draft pick, and that wasn't a case of him, somebody blowing smoke. Like lots of people thought he might be a 1st-round draft pick. And he went in the 5th. So
he was projected in some of these to go 1-1.
Right. So you've got to be somewhat careful with this. You got to be careful who you listen to. But I have no doubt that Dan Lanning and the staff at Oregon do their homework and get very honest opinions from the NFL people. So my guess is Dante Moore will be presented with accurate information, and then he can make a decision.
Yep.
So I I'm very, very intrigued to see what happens there. Because again, he made the non-conventional decision once before, and most people don't. So perhaps he does it again. But if I'm Oregon, I'm hoping to find maybe a new quarterback next year. I might have to just be careful with that.
I'm sure they'll find one too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it. They are really good at. All right, we have one more Megaboard thread, and this one's just for fun, Ari. This is a callback. I really love when college football fans have long memories and remember very obscure things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from the Auburn Sports message board. They call it the corner. Bettis posted this, and it says, "Golish language barrier." If you know the history of Alex Golish, the new coach at Auburn, he was born in Russia. So we'll start there. I haven't heard him mentioned, so I thought I would address the tiger in the room. He seems like a great coach, so I'm wondering how his transition to the States has been as far as communication goes. Are we doing anything different, like special playbooks or relying on signals more when he's calling plays in game? I thought I saw him point to receivers a couple times, and defenses might catch on if he's pointing to who Byram is going to throw to the ball to. They're already moving Byram Brown there too. The only time I've been out of the
so matter-of-factly too.
Yeah, the only time I've been out of the country is when I was shipped to Nam, and I was confused as a Yankee learning to, and I was as confused as a Yankee learning to square dance. So, if you think that is serious, don't.
Okay.
Bettis is kidding, but Ari, do you remember the famous message board thread that Bettis is referring to?
I don't. No, I need to be better about like historical message board culture. You're better at that than me.
So when Tua Tagovailoa was Alabama's quarterback, there was a thread on one of the Alabama message boards because Tua's from Hawaii. The person was concerned about a potential language barrier. The person was not kidding.
Okay, just because I'm really bad at this sort of thing, the language in Hawaii is English, right?
Yes. Now there is an ancient Hawaiian language, the one with all the vowels, or
people who are born and raised in Hawaii.
They have the same vowels, they just don't have any consonants. But yes, if you watch the Apple TV show Chief of War with Jason Momoa, they speak in that language. But Hawaiians don't speak that language anymore. They speak English.
Yeah.
So,
it's like hearing somebody say like, "Yeah, I'm not." Yeah, you get it. That's crazy.
But that is a great call, and I love that Bettis did not tip his hand at all. Well,
here's the thing, and I don't know if you're struggling with this. I struggle with who's being serious and who's not online.
It's true.
Because
there's no sarcasm font, unfortunately.
And there's a very dim line between what somebody would think is obviously sarcasm and like what someone else's true thoughts are. Like I snapped at somebody today for saying I'm never gonna forgive you for Notre Dame not getting in the playoff. And I was like, all right, dude, whatever. I said something back that he's like, I was joking, man. I was like, oh, my bad. Like I've gotten 25 messages that were serious about that. So
yeah,
I've got to be, I have really struggled, Andy, recently in the snapping back at people department online.
Don't do it.
I know. I really need to go see.
I have the same problem, and I'm trying to be better.
I'm way worse.
Not always better.
I'm way worse than you at it.
Oh, I know. Because I just let it go. Like I find that I need to just completely remove myself and just let all that kind of wash out and then come back with a new topic.
Yeah.
Because if you get sucked into the debate, there's always going to be someone willing to argue with you. It's like those kung fu movies where there's just, you dispatch one and then 10 more come at you.
And I don't think I've ever won. I don't think I've ever won an argument online before.
You will never have somebody be like, wow, you've completely changed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we had this discussion.
Yeah.
But now Alex Golish, yes, originally born in Russia, speaks meticulous English because I think he came over when he was very young. But that is I just love, again, I love when college football fans remember the obscura of the sport and then can instantly recall it. And the fact that like everybody on the board got it, like got the joke immediately. If you read the thread, everybody gets the joke. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And Auburn fans are good at this. I mentioned this the other day, the Auburn, Georgia thing, where in 2007, they're in Athens, Georgia's kicking Auburn's butt, and they play Crank That by Soulja Boy. And then in 2017, Auburn's kicking Georgia's butt, and the first notes of Crank That come out, and the whole stadium just blows up. Like, I love when college football fans are petty and remember things like that.
Hey, Andy, can you teach me something about the SEC before we get out of here?
Sure.
The thing that is on the Eagles' claw, is that a camera or a tracking device if it flies away?
That's a good question. I am. That's not learning something about the SEC. That's learning something about falconry.
Yeah.
And
is that a falcon?
Not being a falconer myself. Falconry is I believe the catch-all term for people who
have birds like that.
Birds of prey. Yes. So it is an eagle, not a falcon, but it is a bird of prey. So you have a falconer who would be.
Could you imagine? Care. Did you ever watch that HBO murder mystery about the staircase? Did you ever watch that? Anyway,
I have not.
Guy threw his wife down the stairs, and she like split her head open on the stairs. And
great, you spoiled it for me. Thanks.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember whether he actually did it or not. So you should.
Okay.
And one of the defense attorneys said that the gashes on the back of the woman's head were actually from a door that was left open and a falcon coming in and attacking her. And I think about that every time I see this picture.
That is what the attorneys call an alternative theory.
Yeah.
Like,
could you imagine getting attacked by a falcon? It's
no.
wild. Wild.
No, we got a bunch of birds of prey hanging around. Yeah, like there's an owl that hangs around the football stadium at my kid's school. And so when they play, sometimes the owl's just like sitting on a goalpost.
And owls can be aggressive, I think, can't they?
I mean, they're birds of prey.
Look at those claws, man. It's a beautiful animal, though. It's a beautiful animal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Ari, this has been a lot of fun. You know what else is fun? When you guys drive the show, and that's going to happen tomorrow. Dear Andy, dear Ari, you know where to find us. AndyStaplesOn3@gmail.com, Ari.Wasserman@on3.com, and we are going to answer your questions. I know there's been a lot since the playoff bracket came out. Bowl pairings came out. People are starting to say, I'm going to enter the transfer portal now, even though they can't actually do that till January 2nd. Lot to break down. Send us your questions. We will answer the best ones on the show tomorrow, and we will talk to you on Thursday.